Today's Christmas reading comes from the book These Storied Mountains and was written by John Paris. The Christmas Bush, Hurricane Creek. She sat by the hearth fire, her head draped with the cobwebs of age, and talked of the night when miracles come closest to the earth. A grandchild lay sleeping in her arms that have forever been a haven for children here in the new-found mountains. Old tales, old myths, old dreams began to whisper softly in the shadows, and the firelight brought a Madonna-like glow to her face. Nancy Rathbone stared into the fire a moment. On Christmas Eve, back when I was a child, she said, Christmas was the telling of the story. We'd sit around the fire, and Mama would tell us about the baby Jesus born in a stable. I remember how she used to say if we'd go out at midnight, we'd see the elderberry bushes blooming if we'd look real close. And if we'd go to the barn, we'd see the cattle kneeling down. Some said if you listened real sharp, you could hear 'em praying. Christmas has changed a heap since then. Wasn't all the celebrating like now. It was more of a religious time back when I was a child. The telling of the story and sitting around the fire singing the old songs that nobody ever sings anymore. She paused, and the only sounds were the sigh of the burning logs and the whisper of winds blowing in from eternity. There was a song we always sung, she said, but somehow I can't remember how it goes. Something about Jesus born in Bethlehem and in a manger lay, and how the Jews crucified him and nailed him on the cross. She shook her head. I just can't get the words right in my mind. Something about Jesus born in Bethlehem and in a manger lay, and how they crucified him and nailed him on the cross. She shook her head. I just can't get the words right in my mind. She looked at her husband and shook her head again. Oh, you can remember Arthur Rathbone, she said. I've heard you sing it many a time. Just stop a minute and recollect your thoughts. She shook her head again, but she didn't speak. She closed her eyes. She sat that way for a good minute, and then her lips began to move, and softly she began to croon words that caused Arthur to nod his head. Joseph begged his body and laid it in the tomb. The tomb would not hold it. He burst the bars of death. Mary came weeping about her lovely Lord. And what's the matter, Mary? They've stolen my Lord away. Again she paused. I can't get the rest of the words, she said, but they go on to tell how they found Jesus living and how he went up to his Father to reign with him on high. The grandchild stirred in her arms. Tell about the Christmas bush, Arthur said, what you call the tree of life. She shifted her old bones in the cane-bottomed chair. We had a Christmas bush, she said. It wasn't like the kind of Christmas trees they have now. It was something we made, and I've always had one until this year, but since I just got out of the hospital, I haven't got around to making one. What you do is get a dead balsam branch and strip off all the needles. Then you tie pieces of thorn bush to it and make paper roses of all different colors and stick them on the thorns. The old folks used to say you wasn't to have a full evergreen tree in the house unless you followed in the footsteps of the Christ of the manger, and that when a body saw the Christmas bush all during the year, it meant that Christ was not only born in a manger, but that he had died on a cross with a crown of thorns on his head. The balsam branch was for his birth, the thorns was for his crucifixion and death, and the flowers for his resurrection and life, and that he lives. The Christmas bush, the old folks called it the tree of life, was made at Christmas time and kept the rest of the year. You're supposed to keep putting flowers on it all during the year so as to show that Christ not only was born, but that he lives forevermore. She paused, and Arthur spoke up. There's a thorn bush out there in front of the house that we've been using to make Christmas bushes for I don't know how long. I reckon I'll have to get busy and cut some of them and get a piece of dead balsam. Nancy can fashion some paper roses. It don't take too long to make one. And then he got up and went outside. Nancy sat by the fire, holding her grandchild. She was quiet, and she stared into the fire. Dusk had come on. Dim purple twilight had begun to drift across the fields and across the hills, and lamp-lit windows down in the far valley had begun to shed their welcoming light. It was the night when miracles come closest to the earth.